Hello and welcome back to BookTube with Jenny Luez. Today's book we delve into Yellow Crocus by Layla Ibrahim. Before we get started though, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, ring the notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and as always, thank you friends. Have you ever read a book where there's so much to say and yet when you close it, you also feel you must sit in silence? If so, then you'll understand how I have felt after reading Yellow Crocus. I almost gave this book a 5-star rating. I was moved to tears by the book. I found the ending completely satisfying, even if I did wish it were somewhat different. But of course, to be different wouldn't have been real. However, I did take a point away and come to a 4-star rating because of the intimate scenes that I felt did not need to be there. Now, I'm not a prude and I'm not a spinster either. I have lived a life. You can't be a spinster if you've been married before. And so even though I'm on my way to being single, yet again, it's not that I am intimacy adverse so much as I do wish to watch what comes into what some refer as their eye gates. I do want to pay attention and do my best to not read things that would cause me to have my mind wander or lust. It's imperative that I dock points, again for personal opinion, for whatever it's worth. It's not that the writing at all in this book is anything to find fault with. It's simply the subject matter. I felt as though the intimate scenes, for the most part, outside of one, was fluff. It really didn't need to be there. Having lived life, I don't need to read about every aspect of life, if that makes sense. It's been said that men watch pornography and that women read it. For me, I don't want any part of it. And as I imagine my children may watch these videos someday, I also want to leave a legacy behind me where they don't misstep. I need to leave reviews and provide opinions that reflect the values I wish to leave behind for my children and for those of you that follow after me as well. I don't wish to steer anyone wrong. So while Yellow Crocus by Layla Ibrahim is an amazing book, I will say that it is for mature audiences only. It does have some R-rated material within its pages. Again, not so much language as it is scenes depicted. This book is a quick read. It is a read you won't want to put down once you begin. It's also very fair and balanced. First, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Susie Finkbeiner. On Susie's Instagram page, she will often share what she is reading or what she has just read that she has found magical or oh so good. Yellow Crocus is one of the books that she recommended quite a number of years ago now, and I want to thank her for the recommendation. Yellow Crocus is fair and balanced. It presents slavery and the world in which it took place. It presents both sides of a bigger story. You are able to see what life was like for Black field hands within the bondage of slavery. You were also able to see the bondage that white people, especially white women, were also born into. I dare say that everyone who lived within that time period suffered. Now, some white men may have lorded over everyone else and felt as though they were the kings of the world, sitting high on a hog, living a great life. And yet those who relished being slave owners the most were so steeped in sin that how could they really be happy? To me, all of it was just a mess of lives, a mockery of Jesus and what he actually would have called Christian. White people didn't have to save these heathens from anything, give them direction about anything. In fact, it was the black people and their relationship with God and their traditions, their beliefs, that the white people would have greatly been blessed by if they had allowed themselves to interact within fellowship between the two. And that then was to Lisbeth's benefit. One of the main characters, a young white girl, was actually blessed to have a wet nurse that stayed with her for years upon years upon years, named Mattie, the other main character in this book. And it's that relationship in Lisbeth's formative years, that ability to have a foot in each world, to learn how to have empathy for her fellow man, no matter the color of their skin, that shaped her worldview, that allowed her to question what was going on around her, that gave her eyes different than most to see truth with. I appreciated very much in this book that a young white girl born into the tradition of her household, it showed the pressures that she would face, the scrutiny from her parents, the expectations, the demands, how from a young age she's groomed to marry a certain kind of man. And yet she can have Mattie's still strong voice inside of her head as well, to balance that of tradition, to determine for herself and her own heart which way she should go. Was she going to stay in line and in step with tradition? Did money matter above all things? Or does the heart know best and tell the truth the most? Listening to her conscience, her spirit, her soul, stirred up by the things she had seen and witnessed for herself, the horrors that she hadn't even known were going underneath her nose because she didn't know to look for certain things until an event took place right before her eyes that would change everything. That is the one scene that is imperative to be shown. A young white man taking something from a young black woman that he had no business touching. A multitude of happenings affect our lives. There's choices and transitions. The small ones may seem insignificant. The large ones monumental. And yet they all lead us down a path to our truth. We'll either fall in line with expectation and tradition, or we'll forge our own paths. I hope you chase after home, chase after love, chase after warmth and care, and that you follow your heart. It's never too late to break off an engagement that you think, know, believe, and accept that the person you're about to marry is not right for you. The questioning, the doubt before saying I do is often from God. Heed the warning. You need to be sure, and you need to know that you love. Love is a choice that's made every day, and you have to invest in that person to make it last forever. And if you see those red flags or warning signs with your own eyes, it isn't something normal. It isn't something to sweep under the rug. Heed those warnings. Understand that the things you saw, you did see. Trust your basic instincts, God-given intuition, and run the other way if need be. What I really appreciate about a book like Yellow Crocus is that it gives me a chance to see the other side of life, something that's not familiar to me unless I read about it. Or if I have friends of different colors, races, ethnicities that are willing to openly discuss sensitive topics with me, to have a dialogue. So what Yellow Crocus does is incorporate the Black voices beautifully as well. Mattie's life, the Underground Railroad, how people would risk everything to be free. It's harrowing and brilliantly shared in Yellow Crocus. And from beginning to end, there's such a wonderful storyline woven through the whole thing that connects both sides so beautifully. And it's not so much the words or the way things are presented. I feel like all that's fairly simple, straightforward language. It's not this romantic language. And yet it's a very fulfilling tale. The whole book, I cannot find fault with anything outside of some gratuitous scenes, some superfluous things that I feel didn't add anything to the story and truly didn't need to be there for the story itself to be made complete or whole. For mature audiences only, I give this book 4 stars. And I think from now on, when I notice the first yellow crocuses of spring, it will be a cause for celebration. Isn't it a beautiful thing when you can take something from a fictional tale and yet you can bring it to life? Take something from a fictional tale that's become tradition for those characters inside of the book and bring that tradition out of its pages to life in your own. What a beautiful gift. What a wonderful thing to celebrate the first yellow crocus of spring. Until next time.